Adoflum yamamunyina jo enenso mama kwaba edeba home base TV program as say ye gentle ha e wo Ghana fana babia na the way course no e ba no e kire se program mo ti ase ye pa de oba de enhira mo papa na me fa kwanya so ye nua no mama so mo hwe Royal TV na nwumre ye chia munyina mama atena se mama kwaba edeba Adiyie Mmre program yi so oba de enhira mo papa munim program we dada enye de feel de adwene de susu ne ka wa nemu that said the Lord sola scriptura the Bible and the Bible only tisama ya krado na enanwumre me hya mobo yin kan se de opese oteno nemu ye be kan se de nyame asem ese na mo gidie se eno ene nhira ewo mu na yentimi mfi dwumadi na se wabra ye na adofo a mo na mo bodwumadi ho ka no yentimi na mo ase de bia me ba me ka sesesi a me ne mo kasa ma no damu ye de ka enti ebe koso asremo a munyi suhe mu ni so ba so enti kakra bi e wo nsam no se oya busua so ya nkra ana asafo bi ena mo beka mo ho abomzi yi nkakra ni atoa ma ne mpanimfu no mo de tua airtime no hallelujah ye be koso abompa ye e de amamo mu dodo nso a mo no mo sustain program e de abedu ene day no ye ka so ba de enhira mo papa na so person send this guy e de support program we ya number be send de akoso no program no koso ni nyina bo se egu TV no ase ho eye 055 35 74 933 program no koso no bo se egu screen no ase e ho no ye from asuafo de hye Kofika Kari nyame akwa ono na Nyankopon ti asefo nde na family mu bi mo friends wo yodi for mo ka mu nti oro so e wo menchen ha evangelist Joseph Anani evangelist majuma kwaba oba insha papa
amen
na me fa kwanye so ada ashama Middle East for us papa and rather e hono na evangelist Joseph Anani ni team ni nyina ewo me mentimi amabi mo fa ncheme me so kokodi djuma ewo ba bi foforo na ochra bibia ko so kama nti so for odas afona no asore mpanimfo ne asafo to ni nyina da kaso my friends ashama Middle East Nyankopon ti asofo no enhira mo papa na Nyankopon pa etirente ye da ne agya chesoa kaso lamte SDA Church on the 26th August memene da ebeya ade evangelist Joseph Anani ni team nyina da eba hono kaso lamte SDA Church memene da ebeya no panon kron kusise no num ebepai mu etuti be hono ba bia Central Region mama enhia ho na yesua de mum no ba de ebehirae nyame penso on the 2nd September ewo Nkranza Estate Zone SDA Church hono na evangelist Joseph Anani any team nyina ebeba ma yemfi Nkranza Estate Zone SDA Church hono na evangelist Joseph Anani any team nyina eba inti Nkranza for bi nsomwe na yeba ho ena on the 9th September and also Kaswa Central SDA Church Kaswa Central SDA Church on the 9th September evangelist Joseph Anani ni team ni nyina da eba ho enti eno so be ho no am yehia ho no na yetimi esua de abom oba de yehia ye nyina na nanwumre topic a yehwe no America is back past 6 eno na nanwumre yehwe ne videos makomako dumienu ebe support nsem a yeka no nti hohoro ani so ni yiwaso ni no akade ba akwa so yeman you stream live on Facebook na se mo share on Facebook no man dom program na papa it mesere wada for data kakra bi fam yen so phone your smartphone kwa dia bo modern de call home based TV obo program na link no e wo ho no na one like program no wa share e di aman we de message bi nso a fa bi ho no Mmre be mu a meje brand market kan e di aman timodaroma mabope mun share my Facebook said be ya e dom be ya program no ahwe America is back past 6 evangelist
fine praise God ye danyankopon ase papa na enyanum a omoboa mobile money ne yetua adwumede ka nso so ne ye domo ase omo no mo ka nyamsam no
that's right
te se omo ho ne amamu a ye ntimi minduru ha ti nyankopon hira omo ne de omo ye sa nso na nsori ahodo me kan zie asori ahodo asabri omo ne television si anwa so dem na omo bo program free so bia mbeti bi Ashama Central edisa adwuma no hana kokokompi omo disa adwuma no matisa kwiase edisa adwuma no
okay
ene me ahodo bi a omo disa adwuma no me dom nyina ase yo won so a omo de call information center ahodo ya matisa ayi Nkranza East omo so ashase
okay me yiri konfo nyame yisha
yes omo the message ni fa information center be so to my friend Aluza information center
Aluza okay
tino ongo so na omumbo amadwuma na montre dodo na nso so ye bi okomase ne mia ahodo nyankopon hira wono enche bia Kristo beba na ye bra yaso na ansana misha mekasa ase no we de ma mensre Adiyie in general efra bruchil bagana ha misra wono pa mensada mensayem adebe ha me nko a menim se bia wonso se eba ha bia
okay
empa bompa ku bia soro wasafo no misra wono Yesu penny bona senwem ya ka nyina ye nka ho
that's right
enti se me bompa ya Yesu ne tie mpa no se obeyi anu amame tuntuma no se fita ni nyina gina Yesu nyina wa so penny so ene nyina wo sofo so ti sampa bompa ku no misra wono omo ni asafo man ni yie no me na sofo so ni yie fi se ye mfa honden entra asafo yi mu
that's right
se bebri aframe se mentimi ho ye se menyite ho so raka bia tro sa
opani ba kwaso ma menka sakra menti asore na SDA church dey say it menti asore na opani ni ne oka e bonsam na kasa fa mu
ye de abotre e na tanya nkopɔ asafo mu e fi se edi se ho ne kire mu se asafo ba ko pe na obi ase a obonsam bo fu asafo no Revelation 12:17 enti no mesre wonum asom penimfo a omususu se nkopɔ ama ma adom akyɛde ai de bompaye edi to abeye kekamu no me pa mo kyɛw nyom ne bon asɛnwiem
when come pesa be can be the same thing they see what ewu osofo amokyereme etu ho na mo kopam nipa binum efiri asafo na o me etu wo mo se de asafo na hyehyɛ etie even could you believe the baby na fe o ma apple afi do mo so mo hwe nipa hye brem
that's right
ni hu de yes ye de ma wo se akwankyere ye covenant food they were giving it out we ni na ye ma course nkakrakra na nkakrakra trefa SDA churches no ene ye pese ye tem mpaiboku ye pese ye tem mpaiboku obekọ no mo kikam ti se di nyankopon wo te chiri juso mo tem no ate
na
nyankopon hu saafo no
ma me sasafo ma no so mo fa babo kenkan free ni fiti asia kodre wie no ehina na Israel no mo ati prayer camp da o mo ti bi da
ebi si da
yes o mo kosua kwan yankopon fa so shira Israel ma no sa o mo kosua no mo nya sa mpa bo de no
dachi even you better that for us you better that for that
pa ya nante
okay
Adiyie metre dumia sa chemu do ba Revelation chapter 13 verse 11 enkom hye wo ho a kire mu se ye hu aboa bi se opifri asase no mu ba a owo mamienu ti so gwamba na okasa ti se otwease we enkom hye fine afa ye kire mu a si ye se okasa ti so otwease a ye nim se enya aboa keke ho asem no oka egira ho matumi na tumi a ye hu se abehye atwere ne ma abakosem mu wamanu manu a ye wotwere konkurum no sa ne mo na abamu e na abrabom no ay America
that's right
enti America ebedru enkonhye ma na sa abakosem mu e America ebremu no obekasa ti se otwease
obekasa se bonsam
na saa kasa no se ebebamu a ebesi ewo ebra obehye kwasada mra ho ne kura omosamsu ene kasa ne de ebeyin ho de kakra
okay
na mom ebedu ne pompo so de a baby ebetimi de yensan si ebose se de America o ka so obonsam no
watra de etro
sa eno ye bra wo hye kwasada mra
Okay.
Sanity. Na me pese arefo beti ase se de ye kan no America wa sha se eyi subani edi se ampa nkom se kan se obeka se twa ase no obonsam no wa sha ase na em na wo edi se meti du miensa chemu du nim no e ho no ka se okuta tumi se obehye wiase nyinada se ye nyinara ye nkoto abo na ye nyina hyede ne honi ono nso na ohumegu abo no ka so ohumegu abo no ona tumi a ebehye kwese da mra
no shebekena
America na die nim no twiase nyina se ye nkodi ekiri.
That's right.
Sa na se mekane sa na ebe ahwefo adwon kesene ya ye hwe video di kan
mo evangelist production somebody ready video 1 madam mamun room for my video 1.
And welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, once again taking a live look at the Supreme Court as we continue to talk about the rulings from this morning. The Supreme Court using the case of a Christian mailman who didn't want to work Sundays to solidify protections for workers who asked for religious accommodations. In a unanimous decision, the justices made clear that workers who ask for accommodations like taking the Sabbath off should get them unless their employers show doing so would result in, quote, substantial increased cost to the business. Andrew Lieb is a legal analyst, a friend of the show with Lieb at Law, and joins us now live to talk more about all of this. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Josh, thanks for having me. What an important decision that's going to change workers throughout the United States today. I can't underestimate how important this decision is.
And kind of break it down for me. Why is this something that so many people are paying attention to, talking about, and what does it mean for workers in the U.S.?
Well, I'm going to do it two ways. I'll tell you legally, and then I'll tell you effectively how it's going to affect everyone. Legally, we have a decision from 50 years ago that explained how you're supposed to do employment law, like how employment law, it's called Title VII. You might have heard of it, the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, how you need to deal with an employee that wants an accommodation. What is an accommodation? A change of a policy, a procedure of the job. And usually we hear about it when it comes to either disability or handicap or religion. So in this situation, this evangelical Christian said, hey, listen, I think the Sabbath is a day of rest. I shouldn't have to go deliver mail everywhere. That's the Sabbath. On Sunday, I don't need to do that. And the lower court, the district court, they said, you got no case. 50-year-ago precedent, it says, as long as the employer can show more than a de minimis cost, they can deny you. This changes it. Employees have so much more rights today. In the effect, what we learn, a 9-0 decision by Alito, Josh, here's what it says. Now, if you are a religious person and you ask for an accommodation, it's a holiday that's not recognized by your employer. It's the Sabbath. You need to wear a different outfit. You need to have a different head covering. Your employer needs to give that to you, except if it's going to be a substantial hardship, which is going to be a fact-determinative decision. And no longer can they say, oh, it's just going to be a little cost de minimis. It changes everything. Employees have so many more rights today than they did earlier this morning at 10 o'clock when this came out. The world of employee rights changed, Josh. This is a huge decision.
Adofno yema makwaba na mumududu amodi SDH chino both connected one SD crusade biom baby ano mka se emre bi beba me be hyekosi adamra emre bi beba me be hyekosi adamra mududu amonyini mu fie no kwani mu amonje hu akinyi sa abre no e wodo ababedu enko evangelist
oh one say the all body rachire no o chire mu sai asema ko pie Supreme Court ema Supreme Court a chire mu feko se kwasiada ene homenda no abranche de aba no o chire mu se kwasi court ahyemra amakwan we de emoda ho aje sabi wa brofo no oka no ampa so mu ehunza na no ha ntibia na wante ase yi but me born to fa Supreme Court of America bosumi afi bosumi to so nsia ne de to so do no nkron no so ena yabo amane ese case abaho my court aje akire mu se na otwenda e free kwasiada de kosi mamenda ye nso no court amakwan se kwasiada da no ene no homeda fese no na branch ne besreye ti amakwan court na kasa
ena wankasa ya homeje da kekewo
aye
Sabbath
Sabbath
ena yini se Sabbath so yes also then worship
and prayer. Aye, son of fine. Now, as you for Akasam, if you say a court no say general conference, as the general conference here, we are seeing in RSD for free Ghana, a copy New York, copy Michigan, New Washington.
Okay.
One day document by out na kakribi pe na be kan say media two net no so that.
Okay, general conference. Supreme Court issues historic ruling strengthening religious accommodation protections for workers. We SDA for General Conference, United States of America.
I was saying so.
June 29, 2023. Obaha say the case centered on Gerald Groff, a devout Christian whose faith prompts him to keep a 24-hour Sabbath on Sunday.
Mo. And as the phone so nim say case na court no ejina kwase da so.
That's right.
I'm a court no so no agiatum as ye ni. Meje tum pepepe say the court aka no sa na make no. Na o de ento so kakra bi ansa na me wase be ka maka to aso.
Okay.
We US Catholic bishops conference wo mo
Adiyie Catholics and so they also fasa ruling no. US Bishops Religious Liberty Chairman.
Yes.
On Supreme Court's ruling on Groff versus DeJoy. Okay. 29th June 2023. Washington. Today, in a unanimous ruling,
yes,
the Supreme Court of the United States of America breathed life back into the major civil rights law meant to prevent discrimination by employers against people of faith in the workplace.
One say the Supreme Court of the United States breathed life back. Oh, Brafono said, "Metiases no match no." I said, "Mmre bi wo ho, enkeka no ho." And a Supreme Court one who megu sa Mmre no. So the Mmre na ababiu. Say e wo ho. I know na this say do minsa ne kan say ono wotumi a obehumi agu abo no no otimi akasa.
That's right.
Sir, enti no ye kan se oman be kasa okasa efiri ba bia ne mrahye ene na temu adwumadie no ekoso. The legislature and the judiciary ni mienu yi ena oman bia akasa firi mu. Sir, se Ghana pese hemra enyom ampane be hemra no efiri mrahye badwam omo pagyamu a sana akodo mampani akachi.
That's right.
Sir, oman pani pese osere bi kora gise okosere mrahye badwam se mema me kwan pese me hemra wei na parliament so ayi ho adwuma ama no kwan.
That's right.
Pese oman pani mfiti hemra dabi Ghana aye oman bia nya Ghana kek oman bia mrahye badwam ho na mra ni friko.
That's right.
Sa ebina yaye
anasa this be a Supreme Court and dia send a landmark case
sa
ipieba afa abayemra
ebini enti no office of public affairs Roman Califo aka say ampa yahumi agumra no.
That's right.
Enti emana efirihi ansa na yahumi agum eni asema wo say nyina ye bisa ne nkonhwemu na omukro ya beboa me ya no.
Okay.
We a joint statement of the European Sunday Alliance na edaskin no so.
Well, okay. Joint statement of the European Sunday Alliance on the occasion of the annual European Day for a Work-Free Sunday on March 3rd, 2021. Obaha will say 1,700 years Sunday protection. The value of synchronized free time in times of increasing digitalization. On March 3rd, 321 AD, Emperor Constantine decreed Sunday to be a day of rest protected by law.
Yedamwase. We every European Sunday Alliance are Roman Catholic. Any asore kuku ni nyina ka ho. Na ehon video ebedi ekira se siara.
Okay.
Na ansane more videos no yebebo video na me kai ahwefo se asoma ye kan ho se Supreme Court of America apegya kwasiada no ama kwan edimra abata akiri.
That's right.
The ya kan so no wo se Constantine ena edi emra ebata kwasiada da nachi se enya homeda mawiase
yesu wuachi 321
AD entino Constantine emfa emra embata akiri no obetimi ahome kwasiada emra bia enka ho emra bia nchechero na edi emra bata akiri no na kire se oman no die yakani so enti so abeda ntemo nyankopon o wahye ne mra edata sonson nyankopon ahye mra yede home.
That's right.
Enti nipa so pese ohumi a de obo wiase no wahye ne de dada enti no ahome so
Okay.
And to offer for now would the Mmre a better children. Now, oh, patcher say.
That's right. Namidinegu.
And Nunia Sem. And indeed, Sir Samnoa, Constantine, no. At Twaso, and non a Roman Catholic. A children say, Yahomia with Amrenu. Sen person can hear Quebec as Yahume Yanko Pohumidanum. Now, old name say, and your man that also Humidan Yakanin to know. Watch him ye. Sir,
Wahuyagu Kusia Damran.
Wahuyagu. Interview a back canon.
That's right.
And to know America Pejam and Europe. Europe is no far European Union, say, Amaya Mahonia Adriano and son 27. Now, Ukraine, Turkey, Edilano, Uraho, Sissin Sono, a Yedimia Becaho, Russia and Taquaninti, Finlandum, Nina, the Mirkabe membership, Pejam. Fine. They say no, America did consider this with you, what a maquai. Young head the about Europe, say.
Okay.
Yes, videos 2-3.
But if I understand more videos, Mr. Yassembly Yanomami. It is a obi ekase kane no na kwasi adane ye ahomeje eda na sesi akọ Supreme Court appeal no ababe ye kwasi adamra anase Sunday law wati
Debbie afen aye law second that I share no sabre na ye law eye mra because ohene ohye wiase nyina so sabre no ono hye mra se wo de anyosem aban tumi attack kwasi ada che se obidi nhome a enhye no menhye ne paso mra djuma.
Okay.
And adwuma bia nso so yen kroso no kwasiada enne semra no fine ene ye de adwuma ma sese na asade nipa wura fi asade no kra no nya do kra TB da ena Church of Christ na maase ena Paul say Colossians 2 ena Paul say Romans 14 ena Paul say mobi mu aten ye de akoshe Paul enye Paul wa dio sisa na ade no omo no mo kasai.
That's right.
Ti say no aye mra eno ma hye se eye kwasiada mra se ye home.
That's right.
Very well.
Ti say your friend Sunday law na fe na ebenya adjective aka mo na national it will take global dimension. Adiyie kro na e bon continue enye de ba production Mr. Mo videos 2 and 3 and also more room for mine.
Welcome everybody to our webinar today on the right to disconnect and the need for a European weekly common day of rest. My name is Mmre. I'm Senior Policy Advisor at CESI, the European Confederation of Independent Trade Unions. As a European trade union umbrella organization representing more than 5 million workers in Europe, especially but not only in the public services. We have been a long-standing member in the European Sunday Alliance. And as such, I am glad to be your moderator during the event today. I am glad to see you all so numerous today to our webinar, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of the entire steering group of the European Sunday Alliance, which also includes Uni Europa, the Commission of the Bishops' Conferences of the European Union, COMESE, the Protestant Church in Germany, EKD, the Jesuit European Social Center, JESC, the Federation of Catholic Family Associations in Europe, FAFCE, Don Bosco International, DBI, the International Young Christian Workers, YOKI, and also the Confederation of European Churches, CEC. As the European Sunday Alliance, overall, we are a broad network of more than 100 national Sunday alliances, trade unions, employers organizations, civil society organizations, churches, and religious communities. What unites us is that we are all committed to raise awareness of the unique value of synchronized free time for our European societies. In this context, this webinar aims to raise awareness on the need to establish a weekly common day of rest for all, which in our view is both necessary and desirable due to different social, faith-related, economic, and also environmental reasons. This webinar takes place in particular against the backdrop of the ongoing deliberations and discussions within and among the EU institutions on a possible EU directive on a right to disconnect, a matter which the European Parliament has in principle spoken up for in a recent legislative initiative report, and which is now on the table of the European Commission for a decision on whether it will table an EU directive on it or not, potentially also with a provision on a day of synchronized free time.
Hi, my name is Alix and I'm policy advisor at COMECE, which is the Commission of the Bishops' Conference of the European Union. With the COVID-19 pandemic, many people are suffering from poverty and loneliness. This is why we need fraternity more than ever. We need to care for each other, for we are all members of one human family. This is why at COMECE we are committed to promote Sunday as a common weekly day of rest in the European Union. A day that gives time for family and spiritual life. A day to experience social friendship and fraternity.
I don't know more about you. Even say I call video. We are European. Yes, European countries in India.
Yes. One was Otie webinar no. Or can be brede, but mean faba open monitofa.
Okay.
They say or say the whole of Europe. Say the Ochemuno. On per one common weekly day of rest. Ye pedako I'd be siho. I'd be home. And dako no aye kwasiada. Enona my men would teach the Becasayano or can see so. Or no quite also a policy advisor.
That's right.
Just one more a shemra or more to Mmre chef one fu. Dear all too full. Near Shemran on Wakasano.
That's right.
And to know or no chino be no be as soon the autism rano and as soon they are all to know for. Sir, to all no to for say, ye him quasiada dano, and ye disi was Shemran into Munshe and a waba Montabecan. Then ye shama European Nara. Now what you are more almost say just a disconnect, just a do quasiada. A new quite say who be on phones or quite money phone cry my phone will do my phone with the age one playing a tree and a cabbage. It broke a theatre and what you saw from groups and said, an unwoman the Bayana and Cramen friend, son of Moka. Now, I want document in okay, you reporter. I was still so.
Okay. Parliament want to ensure the right to disconnect from work. Sir. Published first a year ago on August 11th, 2022 by European Parliament. Okay. Parliament wants to protect employees' fundamental right to disconnect from work and not to be reachable outside working hours. Wow.
I've really called the last week. The right to disconnect.
Okay. The right to disconnect is not defined in EU law. Parliament want to change that.
So what I say. And you know, just a fahudia no say nipa ninya. Ma kwasada da no untimi mfra no.
Odidi ni kwasi yada homeda.
Ade no o se samra no enyi EU. Ani in European Union mra mo se na se 1% dey. On yes sano. Ye shim. Fine.
On 21st January 2021, it called on the Commission to come up with a law allowing employees to disconnect from work during non-work hours without consequences and certain minimum standards for remote work.
And you know, Europe about bonten say omo yes samra no say be ya benya kwasiada ne ya homeso. And you know, omo the America na montu achi ayemi no yenya America yenya Europe na wi ase aka no so we omo so ye be dan na ye hu say kwasiada no omo de laimu. They say Ghana, our main can say Africa. Yeah, the next 3 videos, video 4 to 6.
Okay, production, madame, videos 4 to 6, and also more room for mine.
Je regarde la salle, je vois que la réaction est positive, je n'entends pas d'objection. L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
Eminences, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to celebrate with you today the entry into force for the Holy See, in the name and on behalf of the Vatican City State, of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, as well as the Paris Agreement under this convention. With the accession of the Holy See, the UNFCCC almost reaches its universalization with 180 states parties.
On the 29th of last month, there was a high panel discussion on climate change, and I had the honor of leading the Vatican delegation to that high panel discussion. And still felt very honored when, events in the UN, one has the possibility of intervening right in the opening session when the hall is full, or subsequently when, people walk out and all of that. And this time, I suppose, out of great respect for the Holy Father and the Holy See, and especially in view of the fact that its encyclical has just been published, we had a chance to intervene when the session, the full session, and so part of the opening ceremonies. And the session was great because, especially since the Secretary General of the United Nations had wanted, actually did, make a comment right after the publication of the encyclical in support of the message of the encyclical and in support of the encyclical's own, if you want, moral support to all the talk about climate change and the need to be committed to some kind of change and to change shift. And then over and above the Secretary General's own recognition in his speech of the role of the encyclical, the publication of it, and gratitude to the Holy Father, one after the other, the heads of state and representatives who intervened kept making reference to the encyclical, as the Holy Father has said, So it's something that has resonated very widely, and it's something that apparently, in the short period of time between the publication and this event in the UN, people apparently had read it and knew what the encyclical was saying, and found in it a strong moral support for the UN's own.
Adofne mamoko abasafe no adwene program na ene yehwe America is back part 6 with 12 videos. Nti gusu bo videos no ekọ. Na yesrema madaroma mo nkoso share e Facebook e man yesede be dom e benya program no ahwe. Evangelist.
Very well. Yahwe videos miensa. Na me chiremo se America Supreme Court edimra abata kweseda homeda nachi. Okay. Say no home kweseda America Mmre makwan.
That's right.
Company in show.
Also kura one we be do review no transfer from.
And I dey buy Europe. Europe so akire mo say on person mo sesa na afei. Omo nim say kwasiada, no on person e dey Mmre abata akire. Je say mo dey America chi. Fine. And I free ho ne yaba wi ase aka. Africa kremoman ene yen kram yen nya Christopher so no yen se ne nkro ketwa so po ahodo the various islands.
That's right.
En so no e kwan ben so ne ya fa so age kwasiada so na tum. And you have videos miensa. You did can Paris agreement. Agreement no one said nipa doma bon nsem bibiri and no ye okuya we ase nyina ate aye kan UNFCCC okuya yate se obo ade bo brensa kyereye aye koso no omoni kuya mo nhwemu na mo fe mo fa Mmra ahodo Mmra ne mfa mbo biase ho ban na no de biase ama nyina ka ho bi adom bi enti no makoje Mmra bi atom ehwa ne je ene nsem na no mo bo no anu ye dikai na etoso miinu Mmra no omoaji omoji tu mo na ye omodom bo nsem no aja konkon Francis Pope Francis sabre no wodi kata bi ko ma wono efen na dato si a ono so kire mu se akwankyira wode boa ma obo ade bobrem nsakira ya aba no ebe boa ma eso atie ma ohyew so atie wo wiase no wodi kata aba no wo nsom eno na video to so miensa no so for pani odi animu be di adanse se ampa odi koye na manaman pani fo ba nyina jitu mu se wo se dia konkron po France aka no ya jitu.
That's right.
Na video shim to so mienu no eno no me de kire ayi ahwefo na me gina so bi so wasem Pope Francis de card homa no koye 2015 wode koye no wono wansan so obeka ho wose monye homa no na de matwere no monye
akwankyere hodo a me de agu akwa mu a ba me change ne betumi aso no kwakra de aman eni monye ono wansan bi ena cardinal Tessin si omunyina age tumu san afi ya se wia 2015 ya ba 16 17 18 19 about 2020 DBC 2022 ansana Pope Francis wako science you see mabeka ho ade ne ya ane wanko ka ho won ade na ba 2015 if you the coco tested the waters so mbaji atum ti say wo so maji atum ya fe de maba
so obi aje tuma wie no afi na wo yiniti ene video to so bi no na ho krata ni adanse nti ai
okay, Vatican news. Vatican presents accession to UN and Paris Climate Agreement on October 4th, 2022.
Na saa date no ma men kan sem bi wo ha. Roma fa na kasa na aka kire yin. Bi sumi ka bi. October 4 bia no. St. Francis of Assisi ne da.
Oh, okay.
Enti no o ye meeting saa da no. Na o de hu ma fa hye. Ama de wo no.
Okay.
So no nka say this is konya so.
Catholic for your boy am send message.
Ono nka say this is konya so. Send your friend George Bergoglio, Cardinal George Bergoglio. And o say na komedin ya wo pepa ne eye Francis. Fi say Francis a odi kan ba ye no. Ono no oba se nko boble no ho ban. We wi na djuma e na odoma nko go fa no koy. To oba de a obefa say di na to no so. To obe boble ho ban.
Obeso na so.
Sa nti eda no 4 October bia no e sa St. Francis no. Ne da ye de kai no enti obetu na mo eti sa no a ti so ni se da no so.
Oh, okay. It was spiritual link. October 4th, 2022. The Holy See deposits its instrument of accession to the 1992 United Nations Framework Convention and the Paris Agreement signed in 2015 to the United Nations Secretariat and holds an event in the Vatican to celebrate the occasion.
Fine. Now, Miss Ankabu, one will say, ye day Paris Agreement ni G2 na man nyina G2 no. Sana Donald Trump, sa ba na o pe kwan mi ato abama no. Tena oni na me ase na me chire kan se onu oba obeyi America film. Na eye Roman Catholic asafo no chire say Pope onye mistake or ye infallible.
That's right.
Enti so okokan kubi hu. Se ye koya je we na afembe so no obi ambassador no me film na de na nyadwuma no se Pope aye mistake. Je se wo twen.
Okay.
Na mpanimfo de ni tutu ni menyina yi ho se kwamoda ho anti wa meka ho nte o kan na Trump ba ya nkaba sa na Pope kan ho na de na nyi je se mise ka ba kwam je so wodire kiri na kwam ye prapra kwam ma no so ba kan so ba kan ho de me pa chaw e kwan mo da ho ye nante na krata no de ko ela da to si paragraph 238
okay. Mududu amu bi ne ye kan page 172 173
sa
it wa wo bi no mani ni la da to see say da wo screen no
so page
172 paragraph 237 empty. Also on Sunday our participation in the Eucharist has special importance. Sunday, like the Jewish Sabbath, is meant to be a day which heals our relationship with God, with ourselves, and with others, and with the world.
Very good. Sasa ma wakan wan kan chiro mo se kwasiada no mo kwa asore so no se krebo 40 ho border 40 bi Krishna Hindu Zoroaster so nyina babi India no China no ma babi Japan no babi omo no mo ni kwasiada ho meda entin babi o disi kan fa ya anka dompe mi anti age ni se o ka chiro wi ase se kwasiada se ehomia climate change no inflammation no a eko hwem na ma yade ahodo enu osua toni bire ya hye ne ye home kwasada bia be ma saa de no eso ate enne to kremo asun emoji tu na pani bi ya hwemu ye friend Jonathan Scorich na okasa wo tablet atwere no of Israel.
Okay. Okay, tablet.
Yes.
belief. The Sabbath in era of climate change.
Very good.
An ancient Jewish practice may help save us all. By Jonathan Scourge. February 4th, 2020.
Very good.
Okay. A weekly ritual, both symbolic and with real world impacts. Widespread advance of Sabbath done right could reduce environmental harm by about 1/7
yes.
in much of the world and provide a platform for ongoing meditating on our environment, our environmental sense and their consequences. Imagine if most of the world's monotheists,
yes, monotheists,
those who come from traditions that profess to observe a weekly Sabbath, along with anyone else who care to choose for one day out of 7 to essentially eliminate their own harm to the environment on a consistent basis. Okay, this could prove to be the one of the cheapest environmental solutions at humanity's disposal. In theory, more maximal Sabbath observance could reduce a 14.3%.
14.3%, yes.
14.3%
yes.
reduction in carbon emissions without additional spending, new technologies, or unintended environmental consequences. One day out of 7 where emissions are nearly eliminated.
Entino Rofotintin in say 1 year who say woman fidia who do modi nhwemu eye abode mo nyansa hwehwe from fidia who do mo nhwemu ayi na dia kire wo say efin ni mframahye ko wiemu a amato ncha ho do eba no sa no mo susu se na otwe na ma ko nson no se yi mo ba ko esi woda bia na otwe bia se ye home a oha no a ekosoro no wochemu oha emu dunnan ene echirpo miensa de esobeti.
That's right.
Sa no ma kire mu entino Paul Francis kire mo se kwasera bia se ye home a ye hawo no esobeti oha nchemu dunnan na echirpo miensa.
That's right.
To we na to krimu asum any amaya hodo a omo no kristo som pa omo no
any gidi ahodo a we nka kwesi adasom no mo fa
we na to masum ento mu nyina san bi no.
That's right.
Ti kremu ansan se obekwa asore kwesi ada da bi kremu san climate change Ghana san climate change o nyina eno ni wiase nyinara e de asinsan ye no na asem ne se ebrebe no mo hwe ni mo se omo de sa kwashada mrahye ya ye nyina akogya tumi e di baye adwuma ena sembe sa me pesa me di tudwa.
That's right.
Na no so no obefa Paris agreement ni ahwe article 14 clause 2 Paris agreement me dia 2 excuse so
it wo bie no me pacho ye kan article 14 clause 2 no
yes
it wo bie a ugo na say bia wo net so a obetuna download on say sorry the conference of the parties serving as the meeting of the parties of this agreement shall undertake its first global stock take in 2023 and every 5 years thereafter unless otherwise decided by the conference of the parties.
Yes.
Serving as the meeting of the parties to this agreement.
Mo. And you know 2015 in film watchini minkana sa eno moji tu mo se edru afi we mu 2023 wombe meeting kase wiase nyina akohia ni ahwe emra ye chef 2015 a se de be adwuma no ya hwe emra no akosi san ye de adwuma de akoduru he se de kwasia dada humi ye be humi no e hyemra no enti no afi we into ma afi we nkwa wiye de no ma sa meeting ne ehu na ye sa meeting afi we wi a ye ne biu agise mfie mu achi.
That's right.
Enti ahwe fonti ase se de omo chewo ne se emra bia ya hye bia no afi we 2020 nkwa wiye de ne ahye pese yentimi anhye na afi we a agise mfie mu achi ana gise birbiesi ofrimu yes yes afre nyina meeting biu enti no 2023 eya afi o mo chechiri to ho so ati ase
make or break
sempre sha abo no eba ho ebrebe so 2023 no ye be hye amra so no mo aka na dia ye kan no ye fa videos kakra bi mbeta chiri on my videos have been to
okay adofo adanse enti ne kunso empanisi ye hu ahwe enti production se mo so my crowd of video 7 to 9 room for my.
From DW Environment is with me. Louise, you've been working through this latest report. It was just been published today, a couple of hours ago. What's in the report that we didn't already know?
So there's not actually that much that's new in the report. The report is actually more of a summary of reports that have been released over the past 5 years or so to really give a brief and concise plan of what action needs to be taken to reduce carbon emissions for policymakers and governments moving forward with this. And it's really acting as a final warning that if we want to make sure that we don't hit this 1.5-degree limit or don't go over it by too much anyway, that action needs to be taken immediately.
There have been so many final warnings and reports and all that. So what is it that we need to do now?
So the report says that radical and immediate action needs to be taken. Emissions are still rising at the moment, so they need to be...
They should be sinking.
Yes,
actually.
They should.
Not stay the same, they should be sinking.
And they should peak at the latest by 2025. That's what they're saying with this report.
Be enough. The report details how we'll also need to change the way we get around, what we eat, how efficient our homes and businesses are, how we farm, how we produce the goods we buy, how we move those goods around, and how we protect the natural world. In short, pretty much everything has to change because pretty much everything we do produces carbon dioxide. It is possible, says today's report, but time is almost out. We've got to peak carbon emissions before 2025, says the UN.
To make a difference. Because what the IPCC says very clearly is that global greenhouse gas emissions must be arrested and begin to fall rapidly before, and this is important, before 2025. So while the government has a target that they describe as ambitious, what it does is the target the government chose of net zero by 2050 is out of sync with the science, out of time with the reality that in order to control and avoid runaway global warming, we need to act.
Adofle mama kwa babio mo share Facebook ni nyame nshia mo bom homoden even omu nyina e kasem kro
sa pepepe omu no mo community no ko chechira aboa no to ho se ese 2023 ye sane aboa no ana omu chire mo se de wi asese ko no se se ye wo 2022 ana omu kanka sansem wi e de bedra fi wi ana omu chire mo se emra no e wo se ye hye mane adwuma ansa na 2025 in 2025 in film account 2023 and 2024
and 2023 class is in film because almost gone
the main catcher as the positive say omon kwana account penny for insam in December 2024 if it 2025 e kono safi nyina nyenze for afia so mbeko a omonko
so bom sa said o mo plan no pepe dia to kwanna nketenkete o moko no eno mo nsan de afam kekese de obeyi o madwen efidi yesu na wo ka che so wo si wo hye date de obebo wasom no wo se mebom 2025 te no anisa open kuto bi asra o pantans se wo se ebesi ana se yinsi sa now on say the cancer of Deutsche Welle TV o se 2025 BBC ba o se 2025 Canada mmrasha badwam on penny ne kasa no o se ansa na to o nyina no yenhye mra no na nya dwuma answer 2025 te no de ade omudi adwuma okay na meka sanso a Antonio Guterres wi ase nyinara manaman nyamtene ne pani wakasa na wade kinabia shem ye mo videos mi nse ade akiri ansa ne yakan kratai production model ma videos 10 to 12 and also more room for my
5 years after Paris we are still not going in the right direction. Paris promised to limit temperature rise to as close as to 1.5 degrees as possible. But the commitments made in Paris were far from enough to get there, and even those commitments are not being met. Carbon dioxide levels are at record highs. Today we are 1.2 degrees hotter than before the Industrial Revolution. If we don't change course, we may be headed for a catastrophic temperature rise of more than 3 degrees this century. Can anybody still deny that we are facing a dramatic emergency? That is why today I call on all leaders worldwide to declare a state of climate emergency in their countries until carbon neutrality is.
And today is a national day of action when it comes to calling for environmental justice. Thousands of demonstrators throughout the country, including right here in San Diego, came together to call on the White House to make change right now when it comes to our future and our climate and our communities.
CBS 8's Richard Allen, he is standing by. He's here to tell us what those protesters are calling on President Biden to do. Good evening, Richard.
Well, that's right. Hundreds of San Diegans passionate about environmental justice turned out this afternoon in front of the federal building downtown. Now, they joined dozens of other similar rallies throughout the country today with a unified message for President Biden to declare a climate emergency.
Biden, no time to wait. Act before it's too late.
And if President Biden were to officially declare a climate emergency, these climate justice activists led by the group San Diego 350 say this would allow him to tap into his full executive powers to take faster and bolder action, especially when it comes to ending fossil fuel extraction. Now, these protesters, along with thousands of others around the country, say that Biden could use his power as president, even in the face of the divided Congress we now have, to stop the approval of new fossil fuel leases, reinstate a ban on crude oil and gas exports, and also stop foreign fossil fuel investment. Instead, these demonstrators are demanding our federal government focus on investing in our communities, especially the ones most negatively impacted by the climate crisis, which are disproportionately lower income minority neighborhoods. Now, San Diego leaders pointed out that on the local level, we are making strides to reach our own climate plan goal of net zero emissions by the year 2035. Still, more needs to be done.
We need to really make sure that the transition is fair, that environmental justice is part of it, and that we include everyone.
We have the plans, the ideas, the solutions, but we do not have the power. There is one individual in this country who does have the power, and that is President Joe Biden.
Today, President Biden made an exclusive appearance on the Weather Channel. In a pre-recorded interview with meteorologist Stephanie Abrams, Biden discussed what his administration is doing to protect Americans from extreme weather events. One of the biggest topics he addressed was climate change. Here's some of what he had to say.
Mr. President, you call climate change a code red for humanity. The World Health Organization said it will cause an additional 250,000 deaths a year starting in 2030. Are you prepared to declare a national emergency with respect to climate change?
I've already done that. We've conserved more land. We've we've rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. We've passed a $368 billion climate control facility. We're moving. It is the existential threat to humanity.
So you've already declared that national emergency?
Well, in the practice, you got a bug on you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. So you've already declared that national emergency?
Practically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Adofo yama mo akwa ba bio em se video we di emu da ho papa nanso nam se ye brofo ntino ingo evangelist no nchiri na yin ya ye nte brofo no ye ntibi evangelist.
Very well. Oh, say video di kan Antonio Guterres na hano se wakacha man biara o man bia o wiase bia se o mun share climate emergency na se ye sa amra no a emre bia o se di ye de ba me de kutia climate change bia no o so o man pe bia o se here lockdown crowd na share lockdown eno ni o kan na o kan wie ye na example video di akiri se America for eye o ye kire so man panin Biden on so on share samra kro no an bi on declared national climate emergency. And ye bisa Biden what tell you say it is wasan or so me ya sign and as was technically just on timin kansi so mo na wo dia hu krata nie Pope Francis ade kran dia krata
The Guardian UN Secretary General urges all countries to declare climate emergency.
Very good.
Saturday 12 December 2020. Okay,
very good.
Governments around the world should all declare a state of climate emergency.
Very well.
Until the world has reached net zero carbon emission. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has told a summit of world leaders.
And you know, and what kind of video ni abon. Na Pope Francis also declare climate emergency.
Okay. Oh, the Guardian and as I report. Okay.
Guardian.
Pope Francis declares climate emergency and urges action.
Yes.
That's Friday, 14th June 2019. Pope Francis has declared a global climate emergency, warning of the dangers of global heating.
Yes.
And that a failure to act urgently to reduce greenhouse gases would be a brutal act of injustice towards the poor and future generations.
Entino onone Antonio Guterres onyina kasam kro. And afie the pressure to Biden so meka ho. Na afon ka say nkom so miensan ya na edi wi ase United Nations, Rome, the Holy See, and after America, miensan e na kabum edi wi ase kwa wi.
These have one mind.
Sir. Entino Biden kan na CNN say that be one can ye. And the desk.
Okay, CNN politics. Biden incorrectly claimed he has declared a national emergency on climate change. That's Wednesday, August 9, 2023. President Joe Biden incorrectly claimed in an interview with the Weather Channel that he has already declared a national emergency on the climate crisis.
Entino, one say send me bia ko jina Biden so. Tina nkomhye so kire mo say America na what to me abohomego abo no. Ti say o nyina twen Biden so obekasa. Na shemudie bi be koso wo New York. We den kan kwasa me de badu hyanom na as for binumunti and I'm person me kai won bi.
Okay. United Nations Climate Action.
Yes.
Climate Summit 2023. Climate Ambition Summit 20th September 2023. United Nations headquarters, New York.
Good.
Okay. To accelerate action by governments, business, finance, local authorities, and civil society, and hear from first movers and doers. The United Nations Secretary General is convening a climate ambition summit at United Nations headquarters in New York on 20th September 2023.
Sa document we nation yankopo ema yen kwa minu so de be ma yen so ye ba be kan wasem yi na we de me de toze for nsem ansa September ye ye New York o mon ko hyon sa adan na wi ase nyina no san hyemu yi ye ye ni September no ye 1 na adan na nkura hodo e wo nyina nso no ye ye no New York o mon ko bi se mo keke me de message for assignment so that for do mu hu hwe tan kan Jesus Christ for o hu hwe as if for na me da san ma wo no
that's right. Okay, other from a qualo I said in Penisi and BP Abobuano, meaning say time kakra production Madaroma. Nanka Yamfa course back me nubi, and shim na enka enye kama. Into Mr. production Yamfa course me nubi. Into number with my friends, you see our program live 0501 484 671. Fred, now the all can for 2 years NCC I crowd with you 0501 484 671. My friend, now they're working on me ko Facebook akra messages no ho say wishing you life from Doje. May God continue to bless you and your team, Johnson Yakanu. Okay. Abwaji Emmanuel say Rosemary or say come to SDA and keep God's Sabbath. Mo oya the wakacha in the correct I don't know. Okay, Patrick Arthur, I'll say Abwaji Emmanuel. Good, that's perfect. Okay, good, that's perfect. Okay, Ted Florence say, God bless you, evangelist. Okay, and a Rabna Donko. Hello. Okay, Rosemary. Okay. And the message is number, but unfortunately, your time no ye di amanas in terms of the Jumadini na ABC Hanum. Na production or Adaruma, Mfantu Sumame. So we see to Shemi Fefe ya, some catch them. Say Ohima Yasantwa, a boys to men boutique, war Accra. If we run circle now, call Malcolm on Sabin Kumso pay before Malcolm. And if we Malcolm needs Sunday bar, Otta Malcolm on Sandy Fanso. A Honma Bonsi actual boys to men boutique. Ohima Yasantwa on the Shematari L program so. Now we see to Papa and your mass production. Asha for when you extra shirt, shoes, belt. Nina na ade a okwa onsa ebeka bi na daroma na ohyemasa atade e wo program so na yeda mo ase program wo hwe na Mmre Mr. Free station yi ru adawroma ukua da nyimre wabra mo du ekobodu baako no 10 to 11 p.m. no besa nya repeat ahwe na repeat no so no Trinity besa afa repeat no so kuma se ma mo munya home base ho no mo so matimi ahwe bi na ye program ya no Chim TV na dia to 3 a.m. Abra Evangelist Joseph Anane at the time with the watchman and so eba wa kwan so no akosi ho so e wo ho no timonsha no so sama ye hia sika e de tua airtime ye de ka itika krabia won se ma person send the brain no 05535749333 oh question bi answer Fred the same line Evangelist Bejo so no abon komo kama oba de sha so jebre na hwe dwumadi enwure ye frame suafu de hye kofika kari ene nyame akwa ode na fam ye Evangelist Joseph Anane on the 2nd ye ba nkranza intimonsha no so Evangelist Nyankopon hira
amen
enti na wotwe sene wabra bu no nsia kobo no so no Adiyie Mmre ebebo akwan so bi o kai ebemi ehunu no kore no na no kore no aye ade hye God bless you.